Listener's discretion is advised. Sawbells Podcast.
All right, folks, welcome back to episode number 4. Today we're discussing pizza as usual, and we're going to talk about the Washington Commanders-Bills game today. Today we did something a little different. We were at a Brighton Fire Department. For those that are local know that, where that is. We helped out a local fundraiser. All-you-can-eat chicken wings, 50/50s, guns, canoes, kayaks, grills, you name it. Wings actually were pretty good today. Considering they have to cook about 250 plus pounds of chicken wings, they turned out a pretty good product. Today, currently at the table, we have one missing. I think he went to the bathroom. Connor Barker's here.
Yes, hello.
You got to talk into the mic, buddy.
Hello.
All right. We have his Vaja, Brendan, a regular here.
Hello, go Bills.
We have Skip.
Hello, folks.
We have Sean.
Let's go Buffalo.
And Bill's here.
I'm back. Hey, how are you?
How's the London trip?
It was very nice. A little rainy in the evenings, but during the day it was nice and sunny.
Is there any funny stories you'd like to tell us from that trip?
No, just people watching is amazing over there. So, yeah, a lot of unique people.
You did send us pictures of a pizza that you had the first night.
Yeah, we did. We got there. I got there Sunday morning, and by Sunday night we had found a local pub in Kensington there where you could watch rugby on one side, and I think Australia was playing Fiji, and then on the other side they were playing the Red Zone, and so we ordered wings, and they called it American food, and the pizza was basically crust with V8 juice on it. No tomatoes, no pepperoni, a little bit of cheese.
So similar to the Domino's that we had today that we're going to talk about in a few minutes.
Very similar, except this actually had a crust, whereas Domino's had nothing today.
All right. So Skip has missed the last couple episodes, and last episode we went around a little bit just to say how we're all kind of connected here. I met Skip approximately 23, 25 years ago when I was working at Perry's Ice Cream part-time while I was going to college, and I was a part-time merchandiser salesman, and then was offered a job right out of college, and I was Skip's salesman, and we became really, really good buddies. And been friends ever since. Anything to add to that, Skip? Before
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
I remember
25.
distinctly the first time I met Kyle personally. I was having some issues with some of the orders he was writing, and I was talking to his boss, and all of a sudden this dude in a Camaro comes pulling up as I'm at a payphone. That's how long ago this was. There was no cell phones at the time. I was on a payphone. This dude comes and says, "Hey, you Skip? What's the beef, man? What's the problem with my orders?" We chatted. We worked it out. Friends ever since.
Yep. Brendan and I met when our kids were going to St. Amelia's together.
I think it was actually because of baseball, when I was coaching Evan for machine pitch baseball. He was on my team, and then we figured out that we lived a block apart from each other.
Yeah. How many years ago was that now?
That was when they were 8, and they're 12, 13 now,
Yeah.
so 4 or 5 years.
Yep. And for everyone that knows our international traveler, Bill, he lives very, very close to me.
Pretty darn close.
So close.
It's important. It's important. It's so close. It's important to keep the bedroom shades closed until you're fully dressed in the morning.
That's about as close as we are, yes. Yeah, we've been neighbors for approximately 17 years this Thanksgiving.
18, yeah.
And someone here actually helped me move in Black Friday of Thanksgiving.
Move in and move out.
Move in, move out in the same process.
He invited me and another person to help move his entire collection of weights, and I moved a gym in, and my back's never been stronger as a result of that. I mean, it was worth it. It was quite the experience. But we moved you in with half a gym, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough for helping me out that day.
You're still here, buddy. You're still here. It was a great move. You're still at the house.
Yeah. All right. Today we tried a little something different because for the pizza, anyways, because the chicken wing sportsman's raffle. Yeah, he's MIA. Who knows what he's doing? We focused more on eating a ton of chicken wings. I think I only had about 10 or so. Brendan, how many do you think you counted?
Yeah, I only put one boat down as well, but I did have insight from one of the members of the fire hall. They did 15 cases of 40 wings today.
Whoa.
That's how many they cooked.
Whoa.
40-pounder cases, 15 cases.
So 40 pounds a case of 15 cases.
600 pounds, if my math is correct. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Fact check that, Sean.
I did. You know what? That's 600 pounds. I did 20. I basically starved myself for about 12 hours. Light breakfast, and I was like, I'm going to have at least 20, so 2 boats full, and they did a fantastic job. The wings were outstanding. I was very impressed, and it was overall a fantastic event with a fantastic outcome to the Bills game, and let's get it on. Let's go.
And I think they were saying that that's a homemade sauce that they use.
It was fantastic.
They don't use a bottled sauce, which I cannot believe for that many.
No, he came out and showed us a special sauce.
The special sauce. I mean, for cooking for allegedly 500 people, I don't think there was 500 in there, but for cooking for 500 people, they did a good job putting the wings out. Fast, quick, warm. That being said, because we were focusing on the chicken wings, because chicken wings are so expensive nowadays, we didn't go on quality for pizza today. We went for quantity. That being said, we purchased Domino's, and it turned out to be a thin crust. When I say thin crust, I'm talking they used tortillas
It didn't
as their crust dough.
There was no crust.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And-
that's not an exaggeration.
I've never seen a thinner crusted pizza.
You'll
in the
see
history
that
of my
on
life.
the Instagram.
Yes.
How thin this pizza was. I've never seen one so thin.
Yeah, and that Instagram handle is ZABILLS podcast, Bill's podcast. And then we had Domino. Oh, sorry, that was the Domino's. And then we had Little Caesars, just classic pepperoni. And then we had Papa John's. So we did a battle of the national chain brands. The Domino's thin crust, which I accidentally ordered thin crust instead of traditional handmade or whatever, hand tossed. That was approximately, I'm bringing up the value portion that Sean likes to go on. That was approximately $18 with tax for tortilla crap. And then, I got two Little Caesars were the same price as that Domino's. They were $7.49 a piece, so that ain't too bad. And then the Papa John's was approximately $16 to $18. So we made some scorecards this time so we could help organize our thoughts on the thing. And I got we went with a group of 20 or so guys, and I had some of the fellas there give me their insight and intel. So I'll do you guys want to go through yours before I go through?
I feel we need to have like a public service announcement right here, right now. Kyle wanted to switch things up a little bit. And again, you might have to rewind the pod just to get the scores down. Understand the higher the score, the worser the pizza. So if the score is high, it means the pizza really wasn't that good. It's kind of like, as he described, a golf score. The lower the score, the better quality, the better brand of pizza. Now, that being said, again, I don't want to sit there and pump the tires of anything locally, but anything locally was better than these 3 pizza we had. I mean, it was just even La Hacienda was at least 100 yards better than any of these 3 like national chains. And so understand that when we do give your scores, you want a low score for this, and the higher the score, the quality is not as good.
And I'm using some upgraded equipment, and I'm going to play a little sound bit here to signify that we are starting the pizza review section. Pizza. All right, and there we go. All right, Sean, you already have your card out.
I do.
Why don't you blow through this?
You know what? It was the actual scale was 1 to 5. Obviously, you want a low score. And we tried Domino's, and for all of their wonderful advertisements and all of their wonderful campaigns,
1 to 5.
yeah,
I thought it was 1 to 3.
I
think you misunderstood.
No. I blew it right out of the water, my friend. I mean, I strapped the bazooka on and I blew that scale.
So
right out of
you
the water.
were saying that pizza was so bad.
It was so bad
that 3
Nope.
was a graceful score. You had to get worse.
The Domino's got 10s. Okay, out of a 1
on
to
a scale
3.
of 1 to 5, which should have been 1 to 3.
No, 1 through 3. Yeah, I doubled my imaginary scale.
If anybody's following this right now, good for them.
I'm telling you right now, you know what? Living where we live, I'm a pizza snob, and I brought all my snobbery to this. The Domino's pizza in the history of pizza, I hope they're listening, I know they are, was the worst pizza I have ever experienced in my life. I don't know if it was the order. I don't know what it was. I don't know how that went down. It was pound for pound the worst pizza I have ever experienced. I've made my own pizza. I've burnt my own pizza. It was the worst pizza I've ever seen served. And I actually felt bad because when I found out it was $18, my heart sunk. It's real quick. Domino's, 10s across the board for a grand total of 60. Pizza, presentation, cooked crust, cheese, sauce, all 10s, even though it's only top score 3. And the toppings got a 5, and the grand total is 60. When everything was said and done, the final score was 60. If it was out of a possible score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could get 18 was the top. I gave them a 60. They were that bad. Are we just doing Domino's or
No, just run through your whole thing.
all? Papa John's was slightly better. I busted through again with presentation and cheese. They got 5s. The only thing that were marginally good for the Papa John's, and again, it was probably only because the Domino's was so bad, was the way it was cooked, the crust, and the toppings. They each got 3s for a total of 23. Little Caesars, their value was always very good. They were the only one in the ball field or on the ballpark with a final score of 18. Theirs was somewhat respectable. Every other Papa John's and Domino's, I feel bad if you don't live in Tonawanda or Buffalo because that's what you're stuck with. Lord mercy. Oh, man. I'm going to pass this on to Skip. Skip, what do you have?
To piggyback on your Domino's, I had a hard time swallowing. I really thought it was coming back up. And I'm not lying. That was some of the worst pizza I have ever eaten in my life. The worst. I cannot believe that we paid for that. I said it when we were there. If you threw it on the ground, I don't think a dog would have eaten that. I took one sniff and walked away. It was like it was on a cracker. It was, the sauce was horrendous. The toppings were gross. I feel like it was made yesterday and heated back up today. It really, seriously, it was one of the worst pizzas I've ever eaten. And I've eaten bad pizzas, but it was not good. I've followed the scoring properly, and 3s for presentation, cook, crust, cheese, sauce, toppings. Little Caesars, a step up, but not much farther. I did not care for them. I thought their presentation was the best. I thought their cook was the best, but out of that, I did not like their crust, cheese, sauce, or toppings. Papa John's, Papa, you did it for me. I gave them an 8. Caesars got a 10 and 18 for Domino's. Well, I was trying to be generous, but it really was some of the worst pizza I have ever had. Oh, like you want to scrape your tongue when you're done. That's how bad it was.
Bill, are you ready?
Yes. Sean, I'm with you. I actually followed your scoring system, so I actually was able to give Domino's a 70. So I one-upped it. At the end of the day, it looked like you took these nasty old dirty tortilla, like burrito shells, laid them flat, and then made your pizza from there. So I'm not sure what they're thinking, or I don't know. Now I've been thrown off here a little bit. Sorry, microphone moved. Caesars, I gave it a 16. I'm not, obviously like Sean, I'm not a big mass-produced pizza fan, and 9 times out of 10 they make me sick anyways, literally. I don't know if it's in the sauce or what, but sensitive stomach. But they did pretty well, but their cheese had already started to separate again. So it's like it melted, and then whatever plastics were in it, they started to split apart again. So that was kind of disappointing. So I gave them a 16, and then came to Papa John's. Papa John's started to look like a normal pizza, but at the end of the day, you can't compete against local, and I will always support local over any of these guys. So Papa John, out of the 3, got a 12 from me, 70 for Domino's, 16 for Little Caesars, and I'm just going to pray to the gods tonight that nothing happens to me.
We're all praying for you, Bill.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, Brendan, you're up.
So I think the podcast is going to have to revisit its stance on grading systems because I think ours is totally messed up. I mean, when you say, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 5, usually the highest one is, the one you go with. But I understand what we're doing there. So if we're saying it's, the higher is the worst, I mean, I have to echo everything these guys said about the Domino's pizza. I think we're beating a dead horse, but I've never seen anything like it. I couldn't believe the product that came out of that box. And then, Kyle, when you just said that was $18, I did not know that. I had to take a step back because I'm not a cheap guy for pizza. I don't even really look at the price. When I want a pizza, I pay for the pizza, and I never buy these, so I wouldn't care. But I would think you're going to these places to get a deal, and $18 for that pizza is somebody should be sued, honestly. That is absurd.
I do feel the more we process this one, it's almost like therapy a little bit. I do feel I would have almost gotten back in my car, driven back to Domino's, and confronted the people at Domino's to explain where's the $18 in this quarter-size piece of pizza. That's the thinnest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like if you can imagine how thin a Pringle is, that was the crust. I probably would have just to inquire, how could you serve something like this? And that's unbelievable.
I will take the blame because I did the ordering, and I ordered thin crust thinking it would be like New York style thin crust, not Ritz cracker tortilla shell crust.
Well, and honestly, that's not on the order. That pizza should not even be an option for anyone to order ever. That was crazy. And I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, you need to go see a picture of this pizza on the Instagram, because when we opened it up, I said to Kyle, take a picture of that pizza while it's cut and show the thickness of that, because I swear to God, this pizza is not even a centimeter thick. It is unbelievable. So, after all of that, I think where I'm at on the Domino's. Moving over to the Papa John's and the Little Caesars, I just kind of did it my own way. I just said which one I liked better than the other one. The Little Caesars had really soft crust. It was, pretty good, decent cook. Presentation-wise, it looked pretty good. I thought it looked the best out of all 3. The Papa John's had definitely a thicker, doughier crust. Kind of was, second place among all of them as far as presentation. And but I actually took a bite of that crust, and the dough itself actually tasted pretty good. I thought there was a little sweetness to it. I moving on to pepperoni and toppings. I thought that the Papa John's pepperoni was super bland. When I ate it, I was like, there's no spice to this at all. The Little Caesars pepperoni actually had some good spice to it. The cheese, I thought the Little Caesars had the most even cheese out of all of them. On the Papa John's, it was a little bit separated and maybe a little bit congealed too, I thought. But I will note that while all of these were supposed to be done at noon, the Papa John's was, sent to us as being completed at about 1:45. So it probably sat around the longest. Regardless, that's no excuse, Papa. And then, overall, I just said that, which one I liked the best. I like the Little Caesars the best. I thought that they Overall, the pizza tasted, best of the worst, I guess you could say, of these three. Next would be Papa John's. And lastly, I didn't think the Domino's tasted that bad as it looked, but it was definitely not good.
Okay, I agree. Connor and Kellen had had a Little Caesars, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And it was just like a plain pepperoni?
Yes.
All right. Would you like to look at a scorecard and kind of briefly just think about what maybe you guys want to say about that? And while you're doing that, here, give me mine back. I'll talk about mine, then we'll come back to you. All right, here, look that over. All right, I'm with everybody else on this one, where Domino's was the worst in every category. I gave them 3s across the board. Unfortunately, I had a standstill between Papa Grande's. Shout out to Papa Grande's Trivia Wednesday nights. Papa John's and Little Caesars. Papa John's looked a little better, so I gave it a 1. I think it was cooked a little bit better, or a little bit longer. Gave that a 1. The crust should have been a 1. Oh, I guess they lost. All right, well, never mind. Yeah, cheese sauce, blah, blah, blah. I gave them an even split 9, so I guess either way. But if you were going to get the pizza, I would probably get Little Caesars because they cost half the price. Did you guys look that over enough to have something to say? Or do you want me to go through all these other guys' scorecards before we move on?
Little Caesars is good.
Very insightful. Connor?
I agree.
All right. Thanks, fellas. And back to you. All right. We got a Timmy here from the raffle who gave Domino's a 15, a Papa John's a 12, and Little Caesars 6 for a win. I've got a no name. They also ranked Domino's worst, and they got a tight battle. They had Little Caesars at 13 and a Papa at 12. So let's do this pile there, player. I got a Corey here. He gave me Domino's last place, presentation, cook, crust. He left a lot of blanks in here. He did rank Papa John's first for crust and cheese, and yet Little Caesars he doesn't spell right. He has spelled with an S instead of a C. And I'll have to put his picture on the Instagram. There's a lot of blanks on here. But he ranked it first. The back says, for what this was, better for value, Little Caesars, hands down, wins. All right. Thanks, Corey. I've got a Frank, probably my father-in-law, Frank. Shout out to Spanky. Domino's. He got it last place. He's got Papa John's with a victory by a narrow 1 point. Next, I got a blank. Looks like Skip's son. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. He ranked Little Caesars first. Okay. I've got Jamie. He ranked Domino's last. Papa John's second. Little Caesars first. On the back, Domino's. Thin crust was almost like a cracker. Papa John's a close second. Little Caesars, great value, wins. Oh. The value category is really taking off here, Sean.
Yep, absolutely. It's all about the value.
Yeah.
That $7.50 will go far for Little Caesars.
Yeah. My stepfather, Larry, he ranked Domino's 16 points, Papa John's second with 13, and Little Caesars, he had them winning almost every category but the crust. I do agree with that. That's, yeah. So he's got Little Caesars first. And last, I got another Matt. This could be the DJ Extreme. Check him out if you have any music needs. He ranked Papa John's first, Little Caesars second, Domino's third. And, yeah. All right. So that's it for the pizza. It looks like for the money, Little Caesars wins. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 4-ish. You have something to say, boys?
I have one thing to add about Little Caesars. If you do get a pizza there, I highly recommend the deep dish. amazing, delicious. It's just so flavorful on the taste buds.
Oh my God. Tone down the. Yeah.
And I would add, there's definitely no way anything at Little Caesars is amazing. And
Western New York pizza all around you.
definitely worth the extra money to
The
go.
Papa John's and the Domino's definitely made Little Caesars look like a champion today, by far. I could see how you could be.
It's good for what it is.
That's a good way.
That's the
That
way
should
to
be
put
their
it.
motto.
I'll apologize now that. Oh, all right. Sorry. Somebody was breaking into my house. Oh, by the way, I am out of my mom's basement. I finally got a job that'll pay for rent. I'm mixing on this board here, so forgive me if I accidentally hit a mute button and turn it back on too late. But anyways, all right, so that's it for the pizza. Next week we'll hopefully have some quality pizza to match with the big game coming up next week. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we'll touch on it for a second. It's going to be the Bills of Miami. So that'll be a good divisional game.
Well, while this is not paid advertising, do you want to tell? I know over the weeks we've been getting a lot of feedback on sound and echoes and things like that. Do you want to tell our listeners what kind of soundboard you're using this week and
yeah,
tips and tricks? Maybe they can call into us or leave some notes for us on this Rodecaster Pro.
Yes, I helped a friend sell a camper on the Facebook Marketplace, which I'm sure everyone loves seeing all the shit I sell. And I got a nice commission to pay for this soundboard, and hopefully this will bring us studio quality audio to make it a little bit more tolerable to listen while everybody is working out there like the dogs that we are, right? Okay. Yeah, I'll have a picture probably on the Instagram if you want to see what we're playing with, but I'm sure most don't care. Anyways, okay, so the Bills were 6.5 point favorites, I believe, going into it, or 6 or 7, whatever it would be. And yeah, what was it? 38-3?
37-3.
37-3. Okay. Sean.
Yes, sir.
We'll go counterclockwise today around the table for now. Good. And why don't you give us a couple things that you noticed today?
They started out almost similar to last week, where their first series was rough. Washington started out looking dominant, whether it was on defense or offense, for the first series. And then the Bills were able to move the ball. And just like that, they turned it on. Now, it was closer than it was. They were only up 16 going into half. I mean, 37-3 makes it look like they rolled over them. And they eventually did, but it was close. I don't know if that was because of the weather, but the Bills, and I think it's more Washington, the Bills look like they're in mid-season form. Josh was comfortable, did not make a lot of boneheaded Josh Allen week 1 plays. Whatever was said to him and after week 1 has followed. And I mean, the Redskin offensive line made the Bills offensive line look like all pros. I mean, they wilted the Bills D-line, even without Von Miller. I can't even imagine what it would have been like with Von Miller on the D-line. They took that quarterback. They took him to the cleaners the entire game. The point is, by the end of the fourth quarter, I was actually feeling sad for him that he was out there on the field. The Bills, it was, again, another meat and potato defensive game. They really stole the show. 5 turnovers. The offense did what it did, spread the ball out. The running game showed up again. The running game looked confident. Overall, it was the Bills on the road, more than covering the spread, and dominating an opponent I think they needed to dominate to go 2-1.
I agree with everything you say. It was a fun game to watch. It was, after the first week, you get a little nervous, and you're like, oh, what is going on with this team? But this week, again, a little shaky start, kind of make you nervous, but then they just poured it on. Offense looked good. Defense looked phenomenal. They were in his face all game long. Pressures, sacks, hurries. He made a bunch of boneheaded mistakes. The defense they looked like, and again, I think it's partly to do with
Who they're
Washington's
playing.
offense, but they looked like a genuine contender, and it was kind of a whew, all right, we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. It was an interesting game to watch because it was actually 16-0 going into the fourth quarter, and
Nothing.
it was really pretty close, but you never felt like Buffalo was in danger of losing this game. They really controlled the game the entire time. Like Sean was saying, you better not turn off the game after the first series because every week the first series is just not indicative of what's going to happen in the rest of the game. I kept saying to people, Washington came out with that run offense and the Bills weren't stopping anything. And for some reason they went away from it. And that resulted in 9 sacks and 4 interceptions for Washington. So I don't know why they went away from their run offense so quickly and so often. Maybe it was to catch up, but like I was saying, it was 16-0 going into the fourth. They really had a chance. But the Bills D, you can't say enough about them. They really, it was kind of that bend but don't break mentality. And when you say bend, yeah, they would give up a long play or two, maybe a nice run. You're like, oh, okay. But then they got the ball back. You had interception, fumble recovery, interception, pick 6. They were undeniable today. The defensive line was awesome. They looked great. The linebackers, Milano actually didn't have his best game of the season. But, and actually, he kind of had a couple missed tackles I saw, but I'm not going to harp on him for that because I think he's still probably one of the best linebackers in the league. But Bernard, he really shone in this game. And I know that we kind of talked about him a little bit last week. And I think, one of the things we talked about in the beginning of this season was what's the linebacker depth going to look like since we got rid of Tremaine Edmonds. And I know he wasn't, necessarily a fan favorite, but he was a serviceable linebacker. And they're looking really good right now. The D-line is looking great. Like you said, without Von Miller, they're still looking great. When we get Von Miller back, as long as he's 100%, and like we said, keep him out until he is, they are putting the pressure on. Now, I hope that continues into next week. Next week's going to be a huge test for them because that offense of Miami is, I don't mean to jump the gun. I know we're going to talk about them. So I'll kind of put that till later. But they're going to have to be on top of their game. Josh actually didn't have like a super stat line today, but he did the right things. He controlled the ball. He kept it safe. I was listening to a little bit of the post game on our drive over, our 2-minute drive over from the fire hall back here. And, they were interviewing him and he was saying, I'm going to owe somebody some money this week for, those slides that I took today. So he definitely is being talked to about sliding more. And I think he did a great job with that. He didn't, put himself or the ball in jeopardy. Yeah, he had that one kind of home run toss that ended up in an interception, but the way that the defense was playing, this is the kind of game that you say, you know what, go ahead and take 1 or 2, 3 of those throws, which she didn't. That's the only one that I can remember, really, besides like the Gabe Davis touchdown. But, hats off to Josh. He looks like he is maturing as the season goes on. Hats off to the defense. The rushing game, if you had to look for a spot that didn't look like it was doing too much most of the game until they got to the fourth quarter, it was kind of the rushing game that wasn't really there, but the passing game was there, which kind of opened up the rushing game a little bit. James Cook, 15 carries for 98 yards. The rest was not that 98 yards. A lot of that was in garbage time. But if you look at the spread of the receivers, it's like all Stephon Diggs. Like, yeah, there's 1 or 2 receptions by other people. 8 for Stephon Diggs for 111. So he was the workhorse again this week. We kind of said that, last week and the week before that, how good was Stephon Diggs? Good again.
He was fantastic. The ball sticks to him like no receiver, I think, in the last maybe 10 years. I mean, it almost has to be overthrown for him not to be able to come down with it. He comes down with it almost every play, and he's been money through 3 weeks in every game. Whether it's to him, he's making plays. He's noticeable. He's a legit, there's no debate. He's a number 1 wide receiver. What's impressive is Gabe Davis, which was at the start of the season, and going back to last year, the hope was he would be a legit number 2, and there were some questions about that one. But I think he is basically becoming a legit threat as a number 2 bona fide receiver in the NFL. Like the Diggs, Gabe Davis tandem right there, with the running game kind of coming into its own, is making Buffalo a very, very powerful offensive team. And you can be forgiven. I think we're all really just salivating a little bit thinking about Miami. They put a 50-point beat down on the Denver Broncos, and the Bills almost shut out the Redskins the Commanders. I knew I was going to do that one time in Washington when a hurricane basically just blew through there. I mean you can't be faulted for thinking about that game next week. I think both teams they boarded the bus. They got ready to go because next week could be the greatest game of the entire NFL season next week.
That's a very good lead-in, I think, to the Miami conversation.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun game, for sure.
Skip, what's your takeaway from this game?
I was impressed with how quickly the defense made adjustments. At first drive, it looked like they were going to just march right down, and all of a sudden, the defense just put the brakes on. And it was good to see. It was good to see that they could recognize what they were doing wrong and fix it so quickly. It gave me the confidence to think, all right, we're going to be able to compete going forward. Look at our division. We've got, Miami it's tough. They're going to be, I'll save it for later, but it's going to be between the two of us. It's going to be a two-horse race going down to the end, I think, and that's what it's going to come down to.
All right, so I think the offense played pretty good. Josh Allen, he had a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown towards the end of the game. The offensive line, they looked pretty great today, allowed 0 sacks. The defensive line, I'm pretty sure 9 sacks they had, 4 interceptions, a fumble return. Yeah, they look pretty great all around.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of the Bills today. They did not disappoint like they did in week 1, but like what Mr. Viola said, week 1 doesn't determine everything. So Josh Allen was playing pretty smart today. He didn't do anything stupid like he's done in the past. He was sliding, which you don't really see that often. And on that rushing touchdown, he jumped up and he tried to do a little Michael Jordan, and it didn't look the same.
We were concerned. We're like, please, dear Lord, let him break the plane. Make sure that before he throws the ball up, kind of like that. Tell me he did. He comfortably got it in the end zone. But we at least looked at it. It was like, oh man, did he at least before he did that little celebration get it? And he did. He made it. He was 1-1-1. He had 1 touchdown throw, 1 touchdown for a run, 1 interception, which was kind of like the Jets week 1, where it was a glorified punt. No big deal. No real damage done. Yeah, Josh had a quiet game, and that might be his secret weapon. Josh Allen has a quiet game. We're critical of him. When he does too much, he seems to make a lot more mistakes. Quiet is good for Josh Allen. If he's not the superstar, I think the Bills are better off for it. If we can spread some of that, I don't know, I'm kind of stumbling here. A little bit of the love. If a team feels like coming out of 4 quarters and they feel like there's multiple people who could receive the game ball, that's a good Bills week. If it's on Josh, if it's on Diggs, you almost can tell they're going to struggle. But that was No, I just love that Josh Allen was sliding. I absolutely love that he was giving himself up. Hopefully the Aaron Rodgers game scared a little sense into him. There's absolutely no need to take the abuse in week 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, playoff position, that's fine. But early on, self-preservation in a league where players are going down every week is the right course of action.
Yeah. I want to say one more thing about when Josh Allen was taking some rushes. I don't know which announcer it was. I forget, but he was clowning Josh Allen. He was like, Josh Allen thinks he's a running back. I don't know what he thinks he's doing. I just wanted to let that be known because that was stupid of that announcer.
Yeah, for a while he was our running game. This is the first season, realistically speaking, that I feel we have a running game where we don't have to rely on Josh Allen. The last 2-3 seasons, it was a Josh Allen show, and because it was out of necessity, it needed to be the Josh Allen show. But Murray and Cook they look very comfortable. They look like two players that can go deep. They can play. They can run the ball. They're a threat, and they don't. It's one more time they don't have to rely on Josh Allen to get a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 1. They can hand the ball off, and teams have to prepare for that.
I have a question for Kellen. For us older folks, can you explain what clowning means?
So basically, it was kind of like he was glazing him, but in a bad way.
What does glazing mean?
Like, how do I explain this to you?
That's the question.
He was basically like,
Was he talking smack?
no, he's putting like too much attention on him, but then this glazing is like putting way too much attention on someone for like doing something. But then clowning, I guess, would be, yeah, kind of like talking smack, but like putting too much attention on for it.
All right, I don't fully get that, but okay.
That being said, Josh Allen was the second leading rusher today on the Bills. And probably the leading rusher going into the fourth quarter, I would think.
Probably.
Yeah, he had 46 yards rushing to James Cook's 98, but I'm willing to bet James Cook probably had 40 yards or so rushing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. All right, my spin today was the Washington defensive line made the Bills' offensive line look fantastic. That being said, they did have a running game, whether it was Cook or Josh Allen. Josh Allen looked comfortable again, was taking advantage of everything they let him take. That 3rd and 20, I believe, where he threw a Hail Mary, that was essentially a punt on 3rd and 20. I guess I'm all right with that. You don't like to see it, but it ended up working out in the end. I threw some shade on Bernard week 1, where he looked like he was lost, like he shouldn't be in the NFL. But man, today he had what do you have?
1-1.
What's that?
He had
2 sacks.
Yep, 1 fumble,
recovery, interception.
He for the first time since 2007, Brian Urlacher of the Bears. So going back,
Well, that was an NFL stat, not a Buffalo Bills stat.
Yeah, there hasn't been a player to do 2 1-1 since 2007. So he must have, again, been a loyal follower of the Zabills podcast and was more than motivated. And he basically showed all of us up who doubted him after week 1 because he might have played the greatest game he'll ever play. I mean, you just don't get opportunities like that. Pro teams do not give you opportunities like that. And he took full advantage, and great for him. Great for him.
Yeah, so, I was really impressed with Bernard today. Skip, your buddy Milano didn't have any wild plays today.
No wild plays today.
No.
I was disappointed.
No, he kind of just blended in with everybody else. Trey White, awesome one-man move in the end zone there. I disagree with the placement of that ball. I thought that was a touchback for sure. But what are you going to do? Did they end up going down the field and scoring on that drive?
Which team?
The Bills when they were placed on the one?
Yes.
field goal, wasn't it, out of that one?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so other than that, I mean, the O-line looked good. I can't say anything about McDermott's play calling on defense. Like, it seems to be working. So I don't know if did Leslie Frazier really not have an idea of what was going on out there anymore or what?
I want to caution this only because, again, we don't quite know. Even though Washington came in 2-0, Washington actually was the better team in terms of their record. I don't know how many more wins they're going to get unless they all of a sudden had a real off game, reminiscent to the Cincinnati playoff game where Buffalo just had a real off game and it showed. I think we're gonna learn that the Washington was not as good as we thought coming in, and that the Bills are just that much better and took advantage of a weak opponent. And before we start crowning Coach of the Year, I think again let the season play out and let's see how good or bad the Bills or the Commanders truly are.
Oh boy, I'm getting used to this, folks. Sorry. I mean, I don't know. I guess the true test will be next week when they face the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Today's another team that they should have whooped up on, and they did. Another pretty clean game. I do like the offensive play calling now. It seems like simple is better. What's it acronym? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
Dorsey seems to be following that pretty well. I just think the simpler, the easier. So
Well, and it's all about convincing Josh Allen. I mean, that's what it was all about, was convincing Josh Allen to keep it simple. If anything good came out of week one was, again, they seem to be a more relaxed team. They seem to be willing to play 60 minutes and you don't have to win the game on one drive type mentality where they're forcing, a pass through 3 or 4 guys and having to make a miraculous play. They just showed up and they look calm. The last 2 weeks, they didn't look jittery. They didn't look edgy. They looked like they were in command, no pun intended, the entire time of not only last week but this week. They looked just confident. They looked like a confident team that's ready for the playoffs.
Brendan, you have something?
What did you think about the lack of use of Kincaid and Knox throughout pretty much the entire game after the first series? Really, we looked at that first series and we were like, it doesn't look so good. But Kincaid had 2 receptions in that first series, and I was like, oh, they're getting him in early. That's pretty sweet. And I think Knox was in that same series, or maybe it was the next one that he had a reception, and those are the only receptions those guys had the entire game. And I don't have the stats on the attempts towards them. I know Knox at least had 1 drop, but I didn't see Kincaid in the rest of the game really, except for that. And I don't know if maybe he's being used more as a pass blocker, which is fine. I think he does a great job at that. But what are your thoughts on that? I kind of was like turned off that they went away from that a little bit.
I think it's a great reminder of how forgettable they were in this game, of just how many weapons they have. You're right. Kincaid had a pass. He was going to take a loss. I think he clawed just to get back to the place where the ball was set. He had a fight. He was going to be 3 yards short of his 1 pass attempt. He caught it, and that was about it. And you're absolutely right. They did not have breakout games, but it's a reminder, 37-3, they really weren't needed at all. And when you think of all the offensive tools they had, they were able to spread it out all game long. And, again, your stars, Gabe and then Stephon Diggs, they made their plays. The different receivers that the Bills have thrown to, Shakir got a catch, I believe. And you're right, their absence, even though it's usually noticeable, it's fantastic because you've got these guys who really had no impact in the game, and that just shows you how much depth there is on the offensive side of the ball.
What I'll say to that is if a team comes in and they want to try to take away one of your strengths, the Bills still have many more strengths. So you know what? If they're going to take out Knox and Kincaid, we'll get you with Shakir, Davis, Diggs, Sherfield finally got one or two catches and definite looks. Diggs, of course, the workhorse as usual. Davis, another good game with the touchdown. So, if this week is no tight ends and then next week is no Davis and Shakir and the tight ends open up, I mean, I'll take whatever they give us. Brennan, you look like you had something to say to that or no?
No, that was it.
Oh.
Matic.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Bill, sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
I didn't know.
The football calling is not my forte. And I want to especially kudos to Connor here for throwing out stats and knowing his game.
That was very impressive, Connor.
Yeah.
You took notes.
Well done.
You took notes. You knew that you were going to feature on the pod today, huh?
Yep, definitely.
All right.
It was nice to see that the Bills were able to score more points, which then obviously leads to a win. So that was good.
It's very astute as usual from
thank
you.
you.
I like
Thank
it.
you very much.
So you have no
forte.
Yeah. Do you have any insight from what you saw at that party today?
Yes. You know what? If nothing else, the Bills fans are passionate people.
Are you talking about the people watching inside the fire department?
People watching. Yeah, it's just not the game is always good for me to watch. It's always more of a social engagement for me, but it's amazing to see people get that passionate about something, whether it be sports or, whatever, hobbies or something like that. But yeah, they get quite intense and everybody's dressed up and their Bills garb, and it was good. It was great. I mean, Josh is playing very well again. I just hope he continues to, share that's fair. He seemed to own, take the ball a lot today. So
what are your thoughts on his haircut at the moment, or length of his hairs?
I don't know. Probably Haley likes it.
Yeah. Bill, was there anything funny that you observed at the fire department raffle today?
Yes.
That sticks out.
Yeah, there was a kudos to the gentleman at the end as we were leaving that clearly had about 12 or 15 pitchers of beer to himself, and kind of moved down the hall a couple of steps to the left, a couple of steps to the right. Clearly, unfortunately, the gentleman had wet himself as well, so I'm sure it's going to be one of his more prouder moments waking up tomorrow. So yeah, it's good times.
Maybe his pants will still be soaked tomorrow morning.
It might be.
Well, you know what they say. What happens at Brighton Fire Hall
Well, stays at the Brighton Fire Hall. That's why I say gentleman. I don't know who he is, and good luck to his employer tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Does anyone have any other observations, comments, concerns from today's game? How about something that we didn't like from the game? Was there anything that we did not care for that we saw in the game today?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I know we were scared last week with the Raiders when they came down, looked like a powerhouse team, and that was nitpicking at this. I didn't see anything, no major injuries that you, even in a dominant win, an injury to a Diggs or a Knox can, put a little shade over a victory. Overall, I thought it was great. I think I have my favorite Bills player 3 weeks in.
And who would that be?
My favorite Bills player is Kyle Allen. I think if I had to get a jersey, I would get a Kyle Allen jersey. And hear me out for a second. When that man is on the field, it's because the game's over. I mean, when Kyle Allen makes an appearance, it's because the game is over. The Bills are up by 4 or 5 scores. And I love that you're getting Josh off the field. You're giving him some rest. You're not putting him at risk. Kyle Allen, all the love in the world. When you're on the field, sir, it's a great game. It's a good time. I mean, that's just my take. That's if I'm getting a Bills jersey, Mr. Burke, it's going to be a Kyle Allen jersey. I'm not even sure what his number is, but I don't care. Is number 9? It would throw all sorts of Bills fans off. Totally.
9 or 8, right?
Throw them off. But I love that when it was 30-0, they were with about good maybe 8 to 10 minutes left. Josh was off the field. That to me is what makes me excited. Like when they're playing smart overall football. Let them get it out. Let them get reps. Hand the ball off. Kyle, I'm your number one fan.
All right. Okay. All right.
Say, in a couple of years, when the schools get rid of history teachers, this podcast thing will be perfect for you. You are a gem, my friend. You and your stats and your off-the-wall comments.
He could be the MVP of the podcast.
Well, it's between him and Dennis. I don't know.
Dennis knows the facts. I just make up
Dennis
a lot of
Dennis is sorely missed today.
I know.
He is. Shout out to Dennis.
I miss you.
Okay, Skip. Do you have any anything negative from today's game?
I don't like the white on white.
Okay,
that's my biggest. I don't like the white pants or the white jerseys. I want a little more splash of color.
I wish they'd bring back the '90s Bills with the red helmets. To be honest,
I don't know how I feel about it. Well, the new red, the one that Josh wears when he wore last year
when he's doing his cover shoots.
When he's doing that at what is it during training camp? He comes out with a funky visor, or funky helmet. He usually does something. He had blue one this year. I think it was a red one last year.
Dude needs to wear a visor all the time.
I mean, is that a new thing? You can have colored visors this year? Because I thought that was a rule that you couldn't. You wear them.
It used to be. Now I believe you can.
Way to go, NFL.
Who's had a colored visor? Harris had a shaded one last week.
Right. You were.
They weren't allowed to.
Then you were not allowed to, and I do believe they lifted that because
it was just cleared for the longest time.
Yeah, I think they're focused more on player safety. It's like, if you want to wear one, I don't know how much of a disadvantage a full tinted protector is for you. If you want to wear one, it's going to protect your eyes, protect your face. Go for it.
I was at my nephew's Pee-wee football game yesterday at Veterans Park in Newstead. Shout out Akron. Some of these 6 and 7-year-olds were wearing visors, and I asked somebody like, "When is that allowed?" Because when I played high school football, I don't think you were allowed to wear any colored shield unless it was clear translucent. And several of these kids had them, and I was informed. I don't want to be incorrect, but I think my brother-in-law mentioned that. If you can see their eyes through the shield, it's legal. And some kids had these visors that you definitely could not see their eyes.
Jim McMahon, I believe, of Chicago Bears. The story goes he had the full tinted visor because when he was a kid, he took a fork to the eyeball. He got stabbed in the eye with a fork, and he was very... We're talking about the Chicago Bears, Super Bowl winning quarterback, and bright lights. Basically, he couldn't do it. So that's where you would always see him with sunglasses. So he had to wear the tinted visor when he played in NFL games because of that.
Like somebody stabbed him, or he stabbed himself?
I think it was an accident.
Accidental forking?
Yeah, childhood thing.
We're going to fact check that, but I remember reading that as a kid. Yeah.
Never had a fork that close to my eyeball in my entire life.
Accidental forking, terrible. Okay, so Skip doesn't like the white on white. Brendan, what is your negative?
I'll only bring this up because we kind of talked about it in the moment, and to me, I liked the call, but there were some people who said they didn't like the call at the end of the half, going for the field goal instead of going for the touchdown deep in Washington territory with, I don't know, I think it was like 30 seconds left, 4th down. I said take the points just because we weren't getting the ball back. The defense looked good. Why mess around?
Right.
I mean, if we needed them bad and we were kind of struggling, yeah, go for it. But I was happy with them kicking the field goal. So I guess I'm not complaining. I'm just mentioning something we debated.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The only thing I really didn't like, I think, was Josh Allen trying to throw that hero ball. Just, you like to see him have a cleaner game than that, and, whatever. So,
this is the game to do it, though.
Yeah,
you get away.
And you're up by a ton. Why not go for it?
Yeah. What? We'll go around the table again. Sean, do you have a note here for us?
I just scores for next week, predictions.
Okay, we'll get to that.
I just want to let you know that in terms of the podcast participants, I am the only one undefeated at 3-0. If you want to fact check that,
please fact check.
Are you
So
sure? You're sure? So you were the only.
I'm the
Well,
only
it's
one.
definitely
pick-
not Skip.
you
I
lose
picked
first
the
game?
did not
Jets
pick the Bills
week
last
1. I
week.
picked the Bills
I
week 2.
was-
I picked the Bills week 3.
Yes, I went against the Bills first 2 weeks.
You are. I have you marked down incorrectly here. My apologies.
It's all right. Just want to make fact check the fact checker right there. And I'm just going to pivot a little bit because, if I felt great that the Jets were going to win week 1. It's not that I wanted to feel that way, but I felt great the Raiders were going to lose to the Bills and the Bills were going to win and go 1-1. And I felt great that the Bills were going to win again. I don't know how I feel against Miami next week. Miami is in Miami.
Hold on.
I'm holding.
You're jumping the ball. Do we do our player of the week?
Oh, sorry,
game balls?
jumping the ball. We can do that. Well, you know what? I already gave my love to Kyle Allen. I'm going to stick with that. Kyle Allen's against my game ball. Yep.
Just giving them away.
Giving it away. Kyle Allen. I did. I said Kyle Allen gets my
He
game
didn't
ball.
stutter. He didn't say. No, he
Nope.
didn't mean. He
It's
said
Kyle Allen. When
not
he's on the
Josh.
field, great things have happened. Prior to that, it's kind of like the champagne after the celebration.
Well, it's either great things have happened or terrible things have happened. I
And so
guess.
far, knock on wood, it's only been great this season when he's there.
Yeah, shout out to the wood we're knocking on. Corey made a beautiful card table here that
Nice job,
breaks
Corey.
down and has cup holder shares. Bill, do you want to participate in player of the week game ball today?
No.
Okay, Skip.
I'm giving it to McDermott. I think he called a fantastic defensive game. I think he made the right adjustments when he needed to, and basically it was a shutout. I mean, that last field goal, I don't even count it. I mean, that defense took the ball away, pressured, hurries, tackles for losses. They were flying all over the field. It wasn't just one player. It was multiple players. It was coming from everywhere. I really had been down on McDermott. I wasn't sure how good he was going to be as the coordinator this year, but so far, I'm going to give my game ball. Coach McDermott.
That's a good pick.
Humble and hungry.
That's a good pick. Brendan.
My game ball would go to Bernard for the way that
you
he's been playing
prick.
and the way that he played this week. And I knew I was going to steal it from everybody else at the table, but that's how the order works here. And I was going to have an honorable mention, but I don't want to steal somebody else's possible pick.
No. Just go for
My
all the
honorable
glories.
mention would be Diggs. Leading receiver again, over 100 yards again without a touchdown. And I think that he's showing his worth to this team, as we've mentioned countless times. But, it's not selfish. Obviously, he's getting his yards. He's getting his looks. And, for all that we know, he's not complaining about not getting touchdowns. But, another great appearance by him without getting a touchdown.
Well, I was. Oh, sorry, Connor. Are you giving a game ball?
To go last. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah. Sorry, kids. Last end of the line. Sonny. My game ball was going to be to Bernard, but he stole that from me. So that'll be my honorable mention. My game ball goes to the traveling Buffalo Bills fans that went to that game in that mini hurricane-like weather. God bless you all for supporting them Bills down there in Washington, D.C., Maryland. Not Washington State, folks. The Washington Commanders play in Maryland.
Is it Maryland? Is that where the stadium is?
Yeah, not Washington State.
I think all of us knew that.
Almost all.
Sorry, whoever you are out there. All right, Connor.
So, I was going to say Bernard, but I think both the O-line, who didn't let up a single sack, and the defensive line.
Huh?
Huh?
Never mind. Keep going.
Okay. And the defensive line, 9 sacks in total.
Yeah, that's a good call. Colin.
So I was going to say the O-line, but I was going to get a little specific and say Osiris Torrance, the rookie. I was taking notes, and I saw his blocking game.
Yeah.
It's off the charts. But since he said the O-line, I guess I'm going to have to go with...
You can piggyback too. It's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's just it's for fun here.
Oh, okay.
You can take whoever you want.
Then I would say Gabe Davis. He had a solid game.
You did another solid game. All right. All right, Sean. Do you want to start us off with?
I will put my
Miami.
perfect record predicting Bills scores this year on the line. And I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie. No game makes me more nervous. I stand by what I said. This could be the best game in the entire NFL season. The Dolphins versus the Bills. Two high-powered offense with a lot of weapons.
Too bad it won't be flexed. That'd be a good.
Who knows? You don't know.
Who knows? I hope not.
I
Mess
do
up our
too.
podcast
Screw
schedule.
up our
Well,
schedule.
you can't flex till I think week
I find
13, 14, something like that.
Right. You're probably right. Yeah, I do find it interesting that usually the Dolphins are, we're
No, go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
the Dolphins are usually we're playing in Miami when it's 1 billion degrees, but I believe they're coming to Buffalo next week when the weather's going to be ideal. Then we go to Miami in the winter when the weather's going to be good there too. Considering how controversial it was last season, I have the Bills, and I say this because I feel really edgy about who's going to win. I don't think it's going to be one team destroying the other. I have the Bills 35-32 in overtime. I have the Bills winning this one, but I do not feel confident because I've seen enough of Miami. I know they've played marginal opponents, but in Buffalo with the fan base ready to go, with the weather ideal, I got the Bills 35-32.
God, land the plane, man.
It's
Land
landed.
the plane.
It's landed.
Okay, so 35-32 overtime. Bill.
27-14 Bills. See, it can be that easy, Sean. I'm just saying.
Bill, 27-14 Bills. Skip.
This one's got me nervous. I'm keeping going back in my head between the two. I've seen some good things from the Bills, but I'm not sure. I'm
70 points against any NFL team is a lot of points.
I'm going to go Miami 35, Bills 32.
So hold on a second, bro. So Skip, you're going to do the opposite of Sean. You're doing the same score, but Dolphins.
Yep, I'm doing Dolphins. 35-32 Dolphins.
My record 3-0. I'm just saying,
All
I
right,
feel
Brendan.
confident.
I feel nervous about this game as well. Just looking at what the Dolphins did today, 70-20 to Denver. Denver's an 0-3 team. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but also Washington is probably not so great, like we alluded to before. So, but yeah, Washington didn't beat really anybody good. So I am nervous just looking at the stats from the Miami game. They really spread the ball around like we say the Bills like to. They really like to. While we were kind of watching the game today, everyone's like, oh, Mostert's having a pretty good game there. He's got 3 touchdowns. He had 82 yards. They had another running back that went 203 and had 2 touchdowns. This Devon Shane, I don't even know who that guy is. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I don't know who that guy is. He also had 2 receiving touchdowns, that is Shane. So they're obviously getting the ball thrown to the receivers as well. Tyreek Hill, obviously a monster, had a touchdown at 157 this week. They spread it around all over the place. The only person who didn't have a reception this week was Waddle, and they still killed the Broncos. So he's hurt. Well, I was informed by the young kids that he's hurt, so I guess that's why he wouldn't get a reception. But if they get him back, then there's another weapon they have. So I don't know how hurt he is, but regardless, I am nervous about Miami. I like that it's in Buffalo, and we don't have to worry about controversies over weather and white uniforms and whose side the shade is on and all that. That being said, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to bet the Bills get 28 points until they get 28 points. But I'm going to say they take out Tua again this week. Say the D-line goes crazy. Tua's out again with a concussion, and the Bills win 28-21.
That's a good take.
Otherwise, I'd be scared.
Yeah. Corey phoned in on the we'll get a toll-free line here where fans can call in and we'll interact with you maybe. Corey predicted the Bills 34-30. I think it's I'm trying to think if you think it's just. Do you think there's gonna be any defense in that game?
Oh, I think so. I think the Bills are going to continue to their defense has got nothing but a ton of confidence. I think the Bills defense is what's going to tip it in favor. I'll be honest with you. I think I would pick the Dolphins if it was Miami, but the fact that they're playing in Buffalo, I think that's why I feel comfortable with the Bills coming out with a win. But I will say, I think whoever wins this game next week against Miami is going to win the division. And that's not a hot take. That's just this early. I think if Miami goes into Buffalo and takes a W, I think the division's theirs. If Buffalo can take the win, I think they're lining themselves up nicely for another division crown.
So, do you think the Dolphins have a really strong defense, or their offense is just their best defense?
Well, you put 70 points up, like you said, against any professional team, you're dominant. So I don't know if their defense is going to stack up, how well it's going to stack up against the Bills, because they have not played the iron of the NFL yet. Their true test is going to be against the Bills, and the Bills, you could say the same thing regardless of the Jets. This is going to be a battle of titans, and it's not going to disappoint. I'll tell you that. I don't know what's going to happen, but that game is not going to disappoint. It's going to be must-see TV. Too bad they can't flex, Skip.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't.
I think the Dolphins' defense is actually pretty decent, but the first week they played the Chargers, and the Chargers had a really good game, and they let up 34 points. So maybe their defense isn't so great. I mean, they played the Patriots last week, but they almost lost to the Patriots last week. So you don't know what you're going to get, I don't think. I think that they're a threat, but maybe we just sit them on their ass next week. Right.
My prediction is Bills 21, Miami 20. I think it's
going to be close.
I think it's going to be.
Scoring,
I think
huh?
it's going to be a grind. I mean, the Bills got a good. The Bills have a decent defense right now. I mean,
home field's what tips it for me. Home field advantage is what tips it for me in favor of Buffalo. If it was Miami, I would have some serious concerns.
What I do have a concern is how good the Bills' secondary is going to be, and if we can control the line of scrimmage. Because I think if our defensive line rattles Tua enough, I heard that the more you make the other team's quarterback uncomfortable, usually that team does better. But
hot take from Bill. I think that was a Bill hot take.
Well, I mean, if Josh Allen's more uncomfortable or whoever, that the other team's usually going to do better.
In the same light as the team that scores the most
Yeah.
will probably win.
Well, 10 times out of 10, that's usually what happens.
I'm waiting for Dennis to phone in, but we'll just go over last week. Last week, what's wrong?
The boys want to predict.
Oh, go ahead.
They want to give their scores.
Okay, so I think that the home field advantage is definitely going to be in favor of the Bills. Their energy will be on their side.
Is that because they're playing at home?
Yeah.
That's why they have the home advantage?
I think
Perfect.
so. And so I think it's going to be a close game. The Miami defense is going to be solid. But Jalen Ramsey, they traded for him in the offseason. He's out for a little while. I don't think he'll be playing. It's going to be a close game. I think the Bills win 24-21.
That's good.
All right, I'd like to piggyback on what he said about their defense. The Miami defense, they're honestly not that good. They didn't do much to the Broncos' offense. Their offense just pummeled them to the ground because of Tyreek Hill, and that's all they're going to do against the Bills is go long balls. And I don't think Jalen Waddle will play because he's been concussed. He's going to be out for a little bit. So my prediction is going to be Bills 28, and the Dolphins will have 24, and the Bills win.
Connor, can you tell me your prediction again?
24-21 Bills.
And just some insight from Vegas for next week. Right now, the Bills are a 2.5-point favorite, which they say if you're the home team, you usually get 3 points anyway. So it's basically a coin flip right now.
Yeah. Colin, what was your score?
28-24 Bills.
Okay. Real quick, I'm going to blow through predictions last week. I said Bills 24-13. Corey said 35-12. So far, he's the closest. Bills said Bills 24-21. Skip said Bills 27-19. Sean predicted the Bills 23-17. Dennis also said 23-17, and they weren't even in the same room when they predicted that. Brendan called 28-10 Bills, and Chris Brunner 23-13 Bills. Yeah, so I'm not surprised with that Vegas odds. I figured it would be like a coin flip.
Second highest under-over of the week as well, only to Dallas and Cardinals, which I think they're predicting Dallas is just going to go off on the Cardinals.
Hot in off the fax machine. Dennis just wrote in. He is picking the Dolphins 31-24.
Boo.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's definitely a pick'em game. It definitely is a coin toss. We'll see. We'll see. I can't emphasize. Bills Mafia is going to need to rest up. They're going to have to gear up. They're going to have to come out in force like they did against the Raiders, and I think be a factor. I think they can get inside the Dolphins' head. Tua is fragile. He's still a young guy. They have all week to game plan for Hill. He's a game changer in himself. But I think the Bills, if everyone's dialed in, the coaching staff has a game plan. Josh continues playing the confident, careful style he is, and Diggs still. And you know, you're right, the defense. The defense is going to determine who wins this game. The Bills' defense is as dominant as they've shown the last couple of weeks. They're going to win. There's no doubt about it. If Miami can exploit them, Miami, it's not rocket science. Miami's going to take the victory. But I do stand by that. The winner of this is going to win the division, and you're going to get a invite to the table of the NFL playoffs by week 3. By week 3, it's going to determine who's going to win the division.
I totally agree about this game. It's going to set the tone for the division for the season.
Fact check, week 4.
Yep. My bad. I'm off. I'm still stuck in week 3 mode. My bad.
Thank you, fact checkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good call.
GTS that. Brian, do you have something?
No, I was just going to say that all this talk of how good Miami is really killing my buzz from how good the Bills were this week.
I mean, can you guys stop fidgeting over there on the table? Thanks. Yeah, 70
kids.
Yeah, who invited these kids over here? 70 points is a lot of points in the NFL.
It's impressive.
That's college. Speaking of college, let's throw a shout out to Deion Sanders, who did not come through this week. 42-6 loss to Oregon Ducks. The Ducks.
Magic's over.
Yeah. I believe Colorado plays USC next. I don't know if USC is ranked, but
I mean, Colorado's still Colorado, even though it's Deion Sanders coaching it. I mean, Alabama.
Right. Does anyone have, now that the football talk's been exhausted, does anybody have a good story from over the week since we've last seen each other?
You know, I don't have a good story, but I have a good flashback.
Okay.
And I'm going to go back to my high school playing days.
All right.
And we had, and when I say we, I was not there, I was not present, but a couple of the football players had a little party, and let's just say the police got involved, and let's just say the school was informed, and let's just say that the football coaching staff was not happy. And for those of you that ever played high school football, there's a drill that everyone fears. It's called Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
You basically line up 2 guys in a chute. It's probably the closest thing to MMA wrestling. You're in a chute. You're hunched over.
Style.
And you basically just crash into each other. And the reason why I'm thinking of this story, I'll finish it and I'll tell you the connection I have. The young student who threw the party, the coaching staff, obviously had some choice words for the whole team, but then told us we were going to be doing Oklahoma to start. And the leadoff was going to be the young man who decided to hold the party against the most aggressive, the toughest pound-for-pound football player Ken Maurice has ever produced.
Wow.
Bar none.
Wow.
And he just got absolutely obliterated. And the reason why I bring up the story is because as the Redskins are trying to finish
Commanders.
Did it again.
We're getting canceled. We're getting canceled. Edit that out.
As the Commanders are marching down the field, calling timeouts in a blowout game, their quarterback is just getting pummeled.
He did get his ass
He took
kicked
two
today.
sacks. I think he got knocked down, all for a field goal in the dying minutes of a blowout game. It was as if the Washington Commanders coach was sending a message to that entire team, and he got injured. It was rough for him that last series. He hobbled off the field, but to keep calling timeouts so this guy could take the abuse he took, I had a flashback to that story.
When you talked about that, it reminds me of that video on YouTube with that soccer goalie, and he keeps getting pummeled in the face with the soccer ball. When they have the guy shooting like the wrong direction, it ricochets and still hits the dude in the face in like a wheelchair, and then they turn him backwards. And
they picked up 2 sacks, and even when he got the ball away, he got knocked down pretty hard with seconds really to go, only to show 3 points in a 37-3 loss.
I think when the guy walked off the field, the water boy clotheslined him.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. They would put him out there for that one.
Bill, you kind of gave us your week in review, right?
Yeah. I just
anything else funny you want to tell us or interesting about you to learn about Bill Peter?
I think it's nice when you are traveling overseas, and Kensington's got all these little micro neighborhoods, and we were a bunch of Americans and Canadians popping into a local pub there where these folks go every week, and no matter what, the sports tied us all together, and we had folks in there. There are a couple of, I guess, young lads over at the one table. They're from Romania, and they were cheering for the Bills. That was their home
cool
team. Yep, and another table they were rooting for the Bengals, but it's just kind of a cool reminder that it ties us all together, and it's all good.
For the people that want to know why you like sports or watch sports or get so crazy about sports, it's that reason right there.
Yeah.
It's a community thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Skip, do you have anything fun and interesting you'd like to talk about?
I wish I could tell you that I had something fun and interesting to tell you, but I don't.
Oh.
I apologize. I'll try to have something funny come up next week.
All right. Just trying to give our viewers a little insight on who we are, personnel.
I didn't really do a whole lot today, just this week. Work, but someday. Do
you want to discuss what you were doing after your normal job?
So I work a full-time job, and then I go work another job. So I deliver ice cream, which is my full-time job.
Let's give a shout out to Perry's Ice Cream, the most tastiest,
27 years. And
tastiest ice cream on the block.
It is. And Kyle, it's just fun fact. Kyle has a saucer machine in his basement right behind me that we indulge in the Perry's frozen custard, and
yes.
It is delicious.
Yes, we do.
Instagram worthy.
Yes, maybe someday we'll put that up on the Instagram.
We'll put that on the
picture there.
pod soon. Yeah.
But after that, then I go to work. I have a home remodeling business that I do, and we'll be doing that full time come January. After 27 years, I will be leaving Pear's Ice Cream, and I will be working for myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's not coming soon enough, though, right?
Not soon enough.
Would you like to plug your business here?
Well, we are currently it's Buffalo Woodworks, because back in the day I used to make custom cabinetry. But since we've gone out to the remodeling world, we are changing the name and rebranding. So come January, it will be MK Renovations. Shout out to my son Matt and my daughter Kayla for the name. I wanted to honor them, hence the MK, and that's what we'll be starting.
I like
new
that.
merch to come.
Excellent. All right, that's awesome. Thank you.
So is Perry's finding out about this on the podcast?
No,
I
I actually have this week. I started training my replacement, so all is good. Yes, they have been notified that we don't have a final date yet, but it will be in the month of January,
2024. Brendan, do you have anything fun or interesting?
One interesting thing, I was privy to a pre-opening viewing of Mrs. Doubtfire the musical last night. The tour starting in Buffalo today or tonight. I don't know when that was, but I did see that last night. interesting experience as it was like a pre-opening thing. So they're still working on the audio, and they still had crew members kind of sitting around checking stuff, and chords all over the place. And it was pretty interesting, but nice show. Love Mrs. Doubtfire the movie. R.I.P. Robin Williams. The musical is a little different, but funny. If you're a musical person, very good show. I probably wouldn't see it twice, but seeing it once is pretty good. So.
Robin Williams is amazing.
Oh, yeah. Toodaloo.
Yeah. Connor or Kellen, do you want to participate in this, or you want to bow out?
I have nothing.
Thank you.
No homecoming Ken East stuff to talk about here?
Sure. I went to the football game. East won 40-19.
Oh, tell us about some extracurriculars that happened at that game.
There was a big fight. Cheap Dawaga K smoking that Cheap Dawaga pack.
Yep.
All right, folks. Sean's leaving. Thank you very much, Sean. We'll be in touch about the next episode.
Absolutely, guys. Have a great week. Go Buffalo, and go Bills, and go Kenmore East.
All right. See you, Sean. What? What location? They don't know where. People that know me know where I live, anyways. All right, Colin. Do you have any? Oh, sorry, Colin. Do you have anything to go?
So that fight ended the game. There were 5 minutes left on the clock, and they just ended the game after the fight.
Yeah, I was at that game. That fight was quite embarrassing for Cheektowaga Warriors.
Yeah, they started the fight, and they got their ass kicked. It's either you don't start and you win, or you start it. It's either you start it and you win, or you don't start it and you lose. But they started it and they lost.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was near the sidelines in the crowd, and I don't know if it was just a late hit tackle, and then they lost their cool, but like helmets were ripped off, coaches were in the middle of the scrum. It was intense. Cops showed up. Doesn't need to happen in a high school football game, but a couple things I observed this week. They're just quick and funny. High school sports are still. When I played, obviously I wasn't aware of what was going on in the stands and stuff like that, but we were at a soccer game this week against a team, and a head coach lost his cool and was swearing up a storm on the sideline and was ejected and then forfeited the game. What do you want to say, Colin?
That was all because of me.
Yeah, Colin thinks that that soccer is like football and you can just tackle kids all the time and whatever. Whatever. You played good. A lot of effort. You got in a kid's face and whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so a coach gets thrown out for that. Then you have this high school football game. It's just crazy how parents can be. I was at that football game yesterday for my nephew and 6 and 7 year olds, and it was intense. Parents are intense. I was at the dentist. Shout out Winning Smiles, and I got to applaud them. I was curious if you all have noticed this. When you go to any doctor's office, dentist, whatever, do they only get the HG channel, HGTV on their TVs in the lobby, in the waiting room? Does anybody notice that? Every time I go to a dentist or doctor appointment, all they have on the TV ever is HGTV, and it's the same show all the time.
So coming from the IT world, it's actually a subscription service they belong to. So it's kind of like Muzak for hotel lobbies and stuff like that.
Oh, see? This is why Bill's on the podcast.
Yeah, so they can pick and choose what channels they want to filter through to you.
It's crazy. I'm like, every time it's HGTV. It's the same.
I want my dentist to sign up for it because every year I've gone in there for the last 40-plus years. It's freaking Gloria Estefan in the Miami Sound Machine. We've got to let it go.
So if you were to switch to a dentist like Winning Smiles, who has 4 locations, easy, convenient locations, Transit Road, Williamsville, Linwood, and Buffalo, Sheridan Drive, and Orchard Park, you could watch HGTV there.
There's a lot of different things you can get at a lot of different dentists.
Yes, there is. So that was one thing. And another thing I just want to talk about real quick, something stupid, is something that grinds my gears every time while I'm driving, is people that throw their cigarettes out the window. That absolutely drives me crazy.
Gary does it diagonally for me. I haven't smoked, I've never smoked, yet all of his cigarette butts end up on my driveway based on the wind blowing down the street. He sits right there all day long. Every time he goes out there, and he just flicks him to the street. But at the end of the day, my philosophy is karma knows everyone's address, and karma will get him.
I get that cars don't have cigarette or ashtrays anymore, but geez. I don't know. Just one stupid thing I observed that I think about saving for chit-chat for conversation here. Anything grinds your gears, fellas? Pet peeves?
People who drive slow in the passing lane on the throughway. The left lane, folks, it's not for you to drive in. It's for you to pass the car in front of you and then get back in the right-hand lane. That's what grinds my gears. Ugh. Anyways, I don't know.
One of my pet peeves is in school when there are people who take up the entire hallway and they walk extremely slow.
That must be a big kid to take up the entire hallway.
No, like multiple people.
Oh, a group.
There are some big kids, though. Yeah. There are some very large individuals.
Okay. Yeah, listen.
Right,
yeah, they might be listening.
Down now. Don't get us canceled, episode 4.
Do we want to discuss what's on that piece of paper that we observed from the thing?
I don't know if that's...
Let me see what you got here. Let me read that.
Oh, I saw some of it.
Okay.
Hey, don't share them.
These were all things that were heard or observed at the
All right, so
We have kids listening to this podcast, man.
there's nothing vulgar on here. Some funny sayings from a distance that were overheard and probably taken out of context. We'll go through a couple of these. Look at that hole. That was some. Oh, this is from the from the crowd and or the TV broadcast. Look at that hole. Super penetration. Go deep. We're not done yet. You're never going to see it coming. Show us your special sauce. The field is wet. Straddling that ball. Balls everywhere. Spread them against the wall. Long balls. I had a hard time swallowing. I'm pretty sure you can relax now. Pretty sure you can relax now. Oh, that's a repeat. Yeah. Magic words. Heard whole. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening. This has been a long episode. I apologize. Hopefully it was entertaining enough for you guys to stay for the whole thing. Hopefully our audio improved that much better. So till next week, we got the lead up for the Bills and Dolphins game, and I think we're out. All right, gentlemen, Bill, Brendan, Skip, Connor, Colin, whatever your name is, and Sean, thanks very much. And I'm going to try another little soundbite here on our way out. All right, that's the trains rolling into Buffalo. All right, folks, thanks again, and we're out. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Go Bills.